It's on business transformation and specifically on velocity in business. So let's see how it unfolds. To begin with, let me start by telling a little bit about myself. So this is me. This was a photograph which was clicked in 2007. I like this car and I thought that everybody on this planet should have a car like this. And I've been working on it ever since. During my life, I've worked with various organizations. I've worked with CDAC, with SIFI, HID, United Technologies Corporation, GadiFix was a startup, and M Square Media. So here are some of the awards that I picked along the journey. This is the most favorite of my awards. I clocked 142% of my target in 2010. This is when I created aviation as a vertical for the company that I was working with at that point in time. This was when I completed 5 years with HID. This is when I presented at a conference of the principals for Dalmia Vidya Mandirs. This is when we were a partner with Startup India for the Uttar Pradesh Yatra in 2017. I participated in a program with the Indian Institute of Bangalore on competitive marketing strategy. And then along the journey, I thought I wanted to do something for the small and medium businesses. And that is when I created eGrowth. eGrowth stands for exponential growth. And this is what has been keeping me busy all these years. I'm also on the advisory board of MSME Bharat Manch. I've published 2 business models. One is the eGrowth framework, and the other one is the leverage model. I'm also the chapter director for Startup Grind, Gurgaon. Startup Grind happens to be the largest ecosystem for startups across the globe. And I am also a published author, having published 2 books, Golf, Mastering Business Success, and Opportunity, The Journey from You to Yes. So this is a little bit about me. Why I'm here is that we are going through some interesting times. And I want to build these conversations which can help you grow your business. All right. And just to build on this, what we're going to do today is I'll be sharing about business world in the digital era. All right. 7 laws of velocity in business. 3 secrets to help you grow in terms of revenue. The choices that you have and what next. So this is what's on the agenda today. To begin with, all of you are aware that the business world is changing. So here are a couple of screens where I'll share how business world is changing. And then we'll break for a couple of minutes wherein you can share what opens up for you. And then we'll move to the next piece, then the next piece, and this is how we'll go about it. All right. Is this exciting so far? If it is, please write in the chat box, exciting. So I get it. All right. So we got 1 exciting so far. Okay. So while you plan, let us go back to 2000. So in the year 2000, this is how the business used to look. We used to shake hands to do business. We used to have huge telephones in our offices, at our homes. We still used to rely on newspapers. We had something called as yellow pages, and we still used to write letters. This is what is called as the brick and mortar world. In about 15 years, this is how the world changed. So from 2000, where it looked like this, we started having more icons. Internet became much more prevalent. A lot of serious work started happening on the internet, and we call this as the digital world. And then 7 years later, 2022, from the digital world, we migrated to the connected world. The handshake gave way to the handcuff. All of us got handcuffed to our mobile phones. And all of a sudden, we were in the clutches of FANG, FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. 4 of these organizations today have the highest amount of data on this planet. Our mobile phones became Apple and Android. We started relying heavily on Google Play and YouTube. Zoom became much more larger than it was earlier. Our kitchens started to get replaced by Zomato and Swiggy. Our cars are being replaced by Ola and Uber. The hotels now are there on OYO and Make My Trip. Our currency has become Paytm and GPay. And the red dot now means Jio, which has made or which has definitely impacted in a big way, such that we can be on this meeting today. All right. So if this is a reality for you, please write in the chat box FANG, F-A-N-G. If you think this is how the impact has been on your business, your life as well. And then let's move to 2023. We're already into the 6th month of this year. And there is a new lingo which is prevalent today. AI, artificial intelligence, Chat GPT has started giving sleepless nights to many people. Many people have lost their jobs because of that. And then on the other side, there's a lot more which is being created. Machine learning, augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse, Internet of Things, blockchain. So these are some of the new terms which have started becoming prevalent in our vocabulary. And there is more to come. We're not going to talk about these today. This is just for us to think of. So before we get into velocity in business, I want us to take a couple of minutes and discuss what is it that has opened up for you so far. Hi. So what has opened up for you so far in what we've discussed? You can unmute and share.
Hi, Mr. Puri.
Hi, Deep sir.
Fine, fine. Your tonality and voice is very clear.
Thank you.
I love this voice and tonality. And the second thing, you are just making us aware that things are moving very fast. So I think we should change our business very fast, or we should think in a different way. This is the message.
For everyone his own. So this is the message which you got, and that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Anybody else? See, definitely there is a lot of change, and the pace at which the change is happening is increasing by the day, by the minute, by the hour. All right. So when we were growing up, a generation used to be 30 years. Today it is maybe 5 years. So children who are 5 years apart, they are speaking a different language altogether. So that is how much has happened. Yeah, anybody else? Reddy Garu, you said FOMO. So would you like to share something more on it?
See, life has become so fast everywhere, not only in business. Even in the generations, when you see your kids, they are far. I feel I'm far behind.
All right.
So if you want to be in business, I think we have to catch up everything with the new generation. That's what I feel.
So FOMO, catch up. This is another
Yeah.
word, right?
Yes.
Catch up, I think, is CATCHUP, not KETCUHP, right? Not the ketchup.
Yes.
Right. What else? Thank you for sharing, sir. Anybody else? All right. So let's move to the next piece. All right. So one thing is definitely clear, that the speed at which things are changing, the speed at which the technology is changing, catching up has become the day-to-day world, right? FOMO is something which is gripping us. So let us look at velocity in business. So what I did was, I came across a book called The Laws of Velocity by Ajaz Ahmed and Stefan Orlander. Ajaz is somebody who runs a digital transformation agency in London, and Stefan Orlander, he is the digital officer with Nike. So both of them put together this book maybe 10 years back. And I loved this book, and I thought, let me just share some things with you. So velocity. Okay, so before I read this, can somebody give back to me what do you understand by the word velocity? Write in the chat velocity, and also unmute and share what do you mean by velocity. Tick tick one, tick tick two, tick tick three. All right. So velocity is about optimism. Velocity is a positive force that gives you the mindset and tools to create a better future. Okay. Today, good things don't come to those who wait, but to those who move. This is velocity. So all of us are in businesses, or we are impacting businesses. In both the roles, we are committed to cause some positive transformation, some positive movement. And for that movement, what we need to have in place is velocity. And we'll dig slightly deeper into the word velocity. Okay. Velocity has 4 principles. The first one is speed. The distance covered in X amount of time, that is speed. Second element which differentiates speed from velocity is velocity has a direction. Third piece is when velocity increases with time, that is called acceleration. And fourth, and the most important piece in velocity, is discipline. All right. We are talking about speed, we are talking about direction, we are talking about acceleration. If discipline is not there, we would topple, our business will crash. Right. I come from a Punjabi family, and I've heard this very often, wherein they say, "Agge daud, pichha chod." What that means is that we're moving forward, But whatsoever we're leaving behind, we're not taking care of it. That's getting jeopardized. Whereas in velocity, we are consciously moving forward in a certain direction and we keep in going. That's what velocity is about. Now, this class, or we are not talking about velocity as a topic in physics. We're talking about velocity. How does it relate to business? All right. So in this book, they talk about 7 laws of velocity. The first one is Smith-Wesson beats 4 aces. Second one is it's easier done than said. The third one is the best advertising isn't advertising. Fourth is convenient is the enemy of right. Fifth is respect human nature. Sixth is no good joke survives a committee of 6. And the seventh one is have a purpose larger than life. We'll dwell into each one of them in the next couple of minutes. So you might want to write in the chat box velocity so that it digs deeper. Okay. The first law of velocity says a Smith and Wesson beats 4 aces. Now, for those of you who don't know, Smith and Wesson is the brand of a revolver. And the story goes, when the Europeans, they went to North America, the Red Indians, the North Americans, they used to use bow and arrow. So those people who were very proficient in using bows and arrows, when they were faced with the revolvers, which are high in technology, which had a better aim and could strike you at a longer distance, so these people, they fell apart. All right. So it says velocity doesn't care who you are or how good you were yesterday. It's coming for you anyway. Don't be a sitting duck. See the big picture, find the pain points, see patterns taking shape and act. Now, we are in a very similar state. Technology has been evolving every day. The processes which we used to do with paper and pen, those have gone online. Ordering has gone online. People are doing their shopping online. Internet has become so prevalent that many things which we could not think of earlier have become more possible. So in such a scenario, if we say that this is how I used to do business, I cannot continue doing business like that. So bottom line is evolve immediately. Entitlement kills. So here it says, don't look back. Something may be gaining on you. Be the disruptor, not the disrupted. It's time that we take offensive action. We take disruptive action rather than offensive. That's not the right word. It says it's good to be first, better to be good, and it is the best to be first and good. We will lose an opportunity if we don't take action right now. It's very important that we keep on measuring whatsoever we're creating. Does it sound good? Let's look at the second law of velocity. Generally, we've grown up on saying that it is easier said than done. But today, our life has changed. We are in times where it is easier done than said. We cannot just keep on talking. We've got to take action. So action is far, far, far more important for our business today than it has ever been. So it says velocity takes courage, focus, and determination. and it gives back efficiency and rewards intuition, iteration, and gutsiness. So anybody who takes action, he gets better dividends. So the bottom line is get going and then get better. Don't think that one day you will get better and then get going. So that one day never ever comes. So Mark Zuckerberg says, we don't build services to make money. We make money to build better services. So as businesses, our job is to make money so that we can give better service today. That is the need of the hour. All right. Figure out what your customers want before they do. Be beta now and get better tomorrow. Unite and rule. Make the leap from saying to doing. So as they say, actions speak louder than words. And there is no better time for your actions to speak louder than your words. The third law of velocity. All of us think that advertising is something which will get us more business, which will get us more money. In today's world, the best advertising isn't advertising. May sound counterproductive. But if you are giving great service, you really don't need to advertise. Let us look at products like Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. These products came out of thin air. They never ever advertised in the past. WhatsApp has started advertising now. Facebook, I still have to come across advertisements as such. But they became so popular just by one thing, that is word of mouth. And that word of mouth spread for one reason, that they were giving excellent service. All right. So it says, make meaningful connections. Be connected to your customer, your prospects. And if we make meaningful connections, we don't need to advertise. Is this an aha moment for you? If it is, please write in the chat box, aha. The best advertising isn't advertising. Advertising, so Jeff Bezos says, advertising is the price you pay for having an unremarkable product or service. What that means is, if you got a product or a service which cannot stand on its own, you need to push it by advertising it. So create wonder. New media needs new thinking. Briefs should be, counting clicks isn't what counts. The fourth law of velocity, it says convenient is the enemy of right. So Steve Jobs said that I want to have a product which is a great product when it is launched. And that is the philosophy on which Apple works even today. He says, I don't want to have products which are just good enough, which is just another product in the market. So he says, convenient is the enemy of right. Don't do something just because it is convenient. Do something because it is right. Because it is right not for you, because it is right for your customer. So never have anything to apologize for. Velocity needs you to be streamlined. The requisite craftsmanship takes perseverance and discipline. So Brian Wilson, he says, beware of the lollipop of mediocrity. Lick it once and you'll suck it forever. So if you become a mediocre player, you will remain a mediocre player throughout. So get out of that league of being a mediocre player. Everything is in the execution. Create structure to release the channel creativity. Make complicated simple and the simple interesting. Discipline and focus. Focus and discipline. The fifth law of velocity is respect human nature. This would also be counterintuitive. We are talking about a digital age where everything has gone digital, and yet we are talking about respect human nature. Well, the fact is, right now I am speaking to a screen, but the ones who are listening to me are human beings. Isn't that interesting? So what I can see is a screen in front of me, but whom I'm serving are human beings. So if I'm not present to it, I am doing disservice to my people. All right. Digital is the means, not the end. Technology sometimes obscures this ultimate truth and makes it easy to forget that at the far side of an app, a tweet, and anything, there is a person. So right now I'm serving people. I'm not serving a machine. This is very important for us. So write in the chat box, human, if you have got what I just said. Yes, Garg Saab, you rightly said, serving human beings. So in this world of machines, we are serving humans. All right. So the more human we are, greater is the possibility of going to the next level. So understand people make everything useful, usable, and delightful. The interface is the brand. And for this, you must ask the right questions. The sixth law of velocity, it says, no good joke survives a committee of 6. So what this means is that even if you crack a joke and you speak to 6 people, 6 of them will have their own interpretations. All of them may not laugh on it. Now, how is it applicable? We are not in times where we need to seek consensus for people around us. He says, have the balls to make the calls. So the story goes that once an aircraft took off from Boston Airport and there was a bird hit. There was a bird hit, okay? There were 2 pilots in the aircraft. And out of them, one of the pilots, he said, the flight is mine. And the other fellow stopped doing anything. The moment this person said, the flight is mine, he started managing the flight. He turned it around, and there is a river called Hudson just outside of Boston. He managed to land the flight in the river. So the aircraft landed in the river, and all the 180 plus people on the flight were saved. Not even a single mishap. What we get out of this story is have the balls to make the calls. At that point in time, this pilot, he had the courage, he had the balls to take the call that I take all the risk of landing this aircraft safely. And he did a great job at it. As business owners, my friends, our job is to make these calls every day, whether it is for our customers, whether it is for the technology that we are adopting, whether it is for the technology, whether it is for the machinery that we are into, or it is for our people. So have that courage, my friends. That's what will give you velocity. So if this is something which has opened something new for you, please write in the chat box, balls. I know it may not be a very politically correct word, but this is the best word which can explain this. Write balls in the chat box. So once Steve Jobs said, this is so insane that we have to do it. It is counterintuitive, yet we must do it. So give groupthink a rest. That means don't work in the herd mentality. When you're clear that something is going to make a difference, go ahead and do that. Don't wait for 5 people to come. All right? Filters are your friends. Your project can only move as quickly as your team. So if your team is completely aligned with you, only then you will be able to move forward. And don't be a backstreet driver, but do know when to take the wheel. All right? And we come to the 7th law of velocity. It says, have a purpose larger than life. Do the right thing always. Play from your heart. So for a person who was born as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, or maybe Subhash Chandra Bose, thinking of an independent India itself was a huge thing. But these two men and many other men like them aligned to that purpose. The purpose was called an independent India. They kept on taking little action every day. They kept on enrolling people around them. They may have different ways of doing things, but this is how they did it. And courtesy, the purpose that they saw, a purpose which was much larger than these human beings. Today, we are living in an independent India. We are living in a world which was not imaginable 80 years back, maybe 90 years back, 100 years back. So when you're building your business, when you're building your community, when you're building your people around you, have a purpose larger than yourself. If you agree to this, please write in the chat box, purpose. So be alive to being alive. See, all of us are alive right now when we're listening to this. But being alive is something much larger, much different. Love is contagious. A lady who came to be known as Mother Teresa, all what she contributed to this planet was compassion and love. And that is indeed contagious. It says, open hearts first, worry about your wallets later. It says, dream in wide screen, then push in on in pixels. In the sense, look at the larger picture and then come down to the finer details. The most powerful force in the universe isn't technology, it is imagination. The Wright brothers, they imagined that one day man would fly like the birds. They just imagined it and that became reality. John F. Kennedy in 1960, he said, in 10 years, man would be on the moon. That was just an imagination. Imagine what imagination can do. What if you start imagining things? So write in the chat box imagination if you think this is something which will make a huge difference in your business. So now before we move on to the 3 secrets to increase revenue, reach, and recognition, let me just ask you, what did you get in these past couple of slides? Hello? Can I hear from you? What did you get
Yeah,
out of
Mr.
this?
Puri.
Yeah, please.
Like I'm into finance industry, so my imagination is to arrange a fund of 10 crore within 1 hour.
Awesome.
So this is my imagination.
All right. And how about the other 6 laws? Do you think those are applicable? What opened up for you?
All are very fantastic, means discipline, imagination, and not to think more, just act. Just act. If we are acting, and the result will definitely will come, or either we will learn or we will earn.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
CK,
sir.
you were saying something. Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Garg Sahab?
I would like to listen other people's also.
Right. Yeah. So CK, you were saying something.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that that love and compassion that you mentioned, that is at the core of anything that we do, whether it is business or life or your health or networking. So if we have that emotion within us, that makes it automatically do the right things.
Very true. Very true. Let us hear from others. What do they have to say? Anybody else? I must also give you a secret that it pays heavily when you share. When you share what's opened up for you, you are not only sharing it with others, it also becomes more clear for you. Nonetheless, let's move on. So the 3 secrets to increase revenue, reach, and recognition. The first one is to become a weaver. Okay. So here is something called as the hierarchy of sales. At the bottom is a tea seller. You want tea, you pay him the money, you get the tea, you drink, and you move on. Second is a hunter. Third is a farmer. And fourth is a weaver. Very often you would have heard these terms, especially in the networking meets. Somebody is a hunter or a farmer. And then here you see something written in the brackets. So when we talk about a tea seller, that is purely a transaction. Hunter uses skills and then a transaction happens. So if you are a skilled hunter, only then you would get the prey, not otherwise. A farmer uses knowledge along with the skills and then the transaction happens. A weaver uses process, knowledge, skills, and transaction. All right. So become a weaver in life wherein you're using a process, knowledge, skills, and then transactions are happening. To give you an example, let us look at McDonald's as a brand. They have been consistently weaving engagement with their consumers across the world. So for weaving this engagement, they have very efficiently used colors. The M of McDonald's is always yellow. They use the red color. So we are not able to miss McDonald's wherever it is. There are certain symbols. The M logo, Ronald, invariably on a McDonald's, you'll be seeing a Ronald sitting there. Rituals. When you walk into a McDonald's, there is a certain fashion in which you place orders and how you get it. I'm loving it. That's a jingle they use. There's a process in which you place an order. There are systems in place. There are structures in place. There are scripts which they use. As an institution, they contribute to others. They build a community around themselves. This is how, as an organization, they have been weaving engagement across the globe, and they have been reaping great dividends. Look at it how you would want to take it to your life, to your business. Second is the secret. Number 2 is the ladder of influence. So you could be in the sales thing right now. Char ka ek, char ka ek, char ka ek. Now here the flip side is, if it rains today, this lady will have to sell her stocks at a discount because she does not have a place to store it. Or she does not have an appetite to buy the product tomorrow if he does not sell it today. So she does not have a lot of flexibility. So sale may not be the best way of doing things. Next is referral. How is it that you create a referral network around you? How is it that your customers who have tasted your product, who have been with you, they refer others to you? Nature has a very good way of doing things. So there are honeybees which go from one flower to another flower. In the process, they take the pollen grains from one flower to another flower. And that is how fertilization happens. That is how fruits grow. Have you been consciously doing this for your business? Are your customers referring more customers, prospects to you? Right? The next level of hierarchy is networking. Networking is like farming. You prepare the land, you seed, you weed, you water, you put pesticides, you put insecticides. And then once the crop is ready, that is when you harvest it. In your business, are you putting all this in place? And at the next level is leverage. To talk about leverage, I'll take the example of Dainik Bhaskar. Dainik Bhaskar is the #1 circulated newspaper group in India. And this is how they evolved over the period of time. This started in 1958 in Bhopal. 1995, they became #1 in Madhya Pradesh. 1996, they launched the Jaipur edition. By 2000, they were dominant in Chandigarh and Haryana. 2003, they launched Divya Bhaskar, which was the first newspaper other than Hindi. So that was in Gujarati. By 2015, they became India's largest circulated newspaper. As of 2020, they were world's third largest circulated newspaper. I don't have the current data, but they have leveraged what they've learned from one city and then went to the other city. And this is how they kept on increasing the pace. They have been at it. You might want to look at it. How is it that you can be there? Then the secret number 3 is leverage quadrant. So many of you would have heard of ESBI. ESBI as a quadrant, right? E stands for employee, S is self-employed, B is business owners, and I is investors. I call the B quadrant, the top right, the business quadrant, as the leverage quadrant. Why so? Because the data says that 90% plus people on this planet are on the left-hand side. They're either employees or self-employed. They control less than 10% of the wealth. They work alone and they sell time for money. The world is all about going from left to right. Let us look at what the world looks like for the people on the right-hand side. Less than 10% of the people on this planet are on the right-hand side. They are either business owners or investors, or they are business owners and investors. They control more than 90% of the wealth on this planet. And how they do that is they leverage their resources. They have systems which work for them. Okay. We'll take an example in the next slide. So what does the leverage quadrant looks like? These are the people who have clearly defined action plan. They leverage their resources. They have structures and systems to grow their money, grow their business, and be hands-off. If there is something which has opened up for you in this conversation, please write in the chat box leverage. Leverage. So let me give you an example of a company which has been in the leverage quadrant. Chaayos. I'm sure you would have heard this brand called Chaayos, maybe had a tea or coffee there. This is a company which started 11 years back in 2012. They have more than 200 outlets right now. They are in the business of creating experiences around tea and coffee. Last year, exact 1 year back, they got a Series C funding for $53 million. The action plan has been to increase the number of outlets, create experiences, and raise funding. What all have they been leveraging? So till date, they have raised $93.5 million. As of now, 10 investors are invested in them. They have had 7 funding rounds till date. They have systems and structures which work for them. They've got a franchise model, they've got technology backend, and they've got a robust supply chain. So you might want to become a leverage quadrant player. So before we move on to the 2 choices, I want to ask you, what is it that you got out of this conversation so far? Hello? So let us have some hearing, some sharing from your side. Anybody wants to share?
Yeah, scaling up actually is a systematic and planned project. It doesn't happen by accident. So we have to have a long-term vision and mission and work towards that.
Absolutely. So they say growth does not happen by chance. Right? Anybody else? All right. So you've got two choices. Okay. Either to run your business by chance, which looks something like this. There is a beginning, and you may have started your business, you might have inherited it from somebody, or you may have certain kind of experiences and then you're going ahead with it. You might find a new trend, or simply speaking, you were chucked out of your previous company and then you become an entrepreneur. The second stage is that of growth. You form a company, you start chasing customers, and then you go after sale, sale, sale. Then there is struggle. Receivables start increasing in the market. You start having troubles with manpower, and your margins keep on shrinking. The future of this kind of a business is struggle, and you'll continue to be in that space unless you make some phenomenal changes. The other kind of business that is possible is business by design, wherein you start with a design, you are in a create mode, you are in a startup mode, and you are driven by future. You are keeping an eye on where the industry is going. You keep an eye on what else is coming, what is the kind of technology which is coming. The second stage is development. This is where you are in the maintenance phase. Your business is growing and you are driven by present. You put all the systems, structures, checks, and balances to ensure that you're growing every day. And the third stage is diversify. You don't create a business as if it is going to live forever. You create a business that you're going to diversify out of it. You're going to monetize it someday, somehow. You look at how you can duplicate it, how you can divest it. All right. Now, this has 13 elements. We'll speak more about it in the workshop. All right. So now you've got a choice to make the great shift from speaking to listening, from expenditure to investment, from my way or highway to the customer's way. Because you must remember, it's the customer who pays your bills. Listen to your customer, invest in your customer, and co-create with your customer. All right. So design brings workability. It also brings a state change. So are you committed for a state change in your business? If yes, write in the chat box, yes. Let me hear how many of you are committed for state change. Awesome. So as of now, only one. So, okay, then CK will speak one-to-one. All right. Okay, Priyanka is also interested. Anybody else? All right. So for those of you who are not interested, the presentation is already over. We can catch up some other time. And for those who want to take the next step, the next slides are for you. Okay. And what we're talking about is a program called Transform Your Business, designed for the world gone digital. All right.